Is the housing market going to explode like all of the fireworks this month? Well, if you're thinking of buying or selling a home in Orange County this summer, you need to watch this episode. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support. I really do appreciate it. If this is your first time here, hi, I'm Josh Alexander, your local Yorba Linda real estate agent, as well as host of Discover Yorba Linda, your one-stop shop for all things Yorba Linda. So whether you already live here or are thinking of moving to this great city, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you'll be up to date on everything happening inside Yorba Linda. On today's episode, we're going to be going over what to expect in the Yorba Linda housing market for the month of July. So let's go ahead and get into it. Like I do with all these monthly episodes, first we're going to talk about what's happening inside Yorba Linda in the housing market, and then we're going to expand to Orange County so you have a broader understanding of what's happening in our local market so you can make smart financial decisions if you're thinking of buying or selling a home sometime this summer. So let's go ahead and start by looking back what happened in the month of June in Yorba Linda. So out of all the homes sold in June, this goes up to June 28th when I'm filming this, 70% of all the homes sold for at or above asking price. Now, when you compare that to the prior month, it was at 68%. So we actually saw a slight increase in the amount of homes that were selling at or above asking price. Now, on a day-to-day basis, are you going to see a giant difference if you were shopping for a home last month compared to this month? No, it's a small adjustment and it's going to feel about the same over the last 2 months. However, the more important data point to look at is when you compare that to Orange County. Over the last week in Orange County, only about 63% of homes were selling for at or above asking price. So in Yorba Linda, we're going a little bit above that. So the housing market is a little bit hotter in Yorba Linda than the majority of Orange County right now. And when you break it down even further by the numbers, when you look at the price ranges between $700,000 and $1.2 million, 90% of those homes sold in June sold for at or above asking price. So that is the hottest part of the Yorba Linda housing market. Again, anywhere from 700 to 1.2 million is where the majority of homes are selling for above asking price right now. So in terms of the inventory side of things in Yorba Linda, right now we have about 62 homes available, which it's been around that range in between 55 and 65 over the last 2 or 3 months. It really just hasn't changed much, so it's been pretty stable. Now that's definitely lower than usual. However, it's stable and we haven't seen any giant fluctuations over the last couple months. So supply in Yorba Linda is extremely low right now. Demand in Yorba Linda is stable and more homes than not are selling above asking price. This is leading to, again, having homes go up in value this last month, and that's been a trend over the last couple months as well. So home values are continuing to rise in Yorba Linda, and don't expect that to change anytime soon. As we go through July into August, you can expect much of the same. You're going to see inventory remain relatively low. It might go up slightly over the next couple weeks, but only by a few homes before it starts falling as we head out of summer into fall. And on the demand side of things, demand should stay stable as long as interest rates stay around where they are right now, which they've been pretty stable over this last month, hovering in the high 6% range. So if nothing dramatic happens with interest rates, you can expect home values to continue to rise in Yorba Linda. If you're trying to buy a home under $1.5 million, most likely, if it's priced correctly, you're going to be competing with multiple offers and you could have to pay over asking price for it. If it's above $1.5 million, it's a little bit less competitive, but it's still very active in those price ranges, especially compared to usual. And it's still a seller's market in those price ranges. Once you go above 2 million, things slow down more dramatically, but again, it's still more active than it usually is this time of year. So you're seeing homes go into escrow faster than during a typical year, during a typical summer in Yorba Linda. So that's Yorba Linda. Now let's go ahead and take a little bit deeper dive into the larger Orange County area. So that way you have a better understanding of what to expect in the housing market as a whole inside of our county, as well as I'll go over some advice for both buyers and sellers at the end of this episode. So that way, if you're thinking of buying or selling a home sometime this summer, make sure you don't skip that. First, we're going to review what happened over this last month of June, because that's going to give us a much better idea of what is trending and what to expect in the month of July. So for the month of June, in terms of the inventory side of things, our inventory is right around 2,300 homes in Orange County. So for reference, that is extremely low. Last year at this time, we had 53% more homes on the market, and before COVID, if you look at the average 3 years years leading up to COVID, we had 191% more homes on the market during this time of year in Orange County. So right now, we have the lowest inventory we've ever seen, and that is including the year COVID happened for this time of year in Orange County. So needless to say, inventory is still the major issue plaguing the housing market in Orange County as well as throughout the United States right now. So on the demand side of things, we're really having a problem in the industry right now trying to get a good handle on exactly how high demand is, because the traditional way that we use to look at demand, which is pending sales, so how many homes have gone into escrow, just isn't working right now. Because right now, let's say one home is for sale, one buyer is going to be able to get into escrow on that home. However, there might have been 5, 6, 7, 8 buyers that also placed offers on the home that is not accounted for when you look at pending sales. So the next best way we have to determine what demand looks like right now is going to be mortgage applications. So how many buyers are going into a lender and getting approved to go out and look for a home. And when you look at mortgage applications over the last 3 weeks have been going up every single week, which just shows that even with interest rates hovering in the very high 6s right now, demand is still pretty stable. It is lower than normal, however, it is stable. And there's a lot of reasons it's staying so stable, but one of the main reasons is we have the largest demographic patch in the United States right now, millennials entering prime home buying years. So that demand number is staying relatively consistent. Not all millennials can afford a home. In fact, in Orange County, you're probably looking at 1 in 5 millennials can maybe afford a home right now. However, there's so many of them that it's creating that stable demand even with interest rates as high as they are right now. And that demand number just doesn't seem to want to dip. So supply is extremely low, demand is low, but it's still much higher than supply. So we are still in a hot seller's market throughout Orange County and have been that way for the last 3 or 4 months. Prices are going up and they're going to continue to rise as we head into July. And the last data point I want to go over before we get into what to expect in July that really supports this hot housing market isn't going away anytime soon is if you look over the last week of home sales in Orange County, and there's been about 350 of them, 63% of those sold for at or above asking. Now, if you look at last month at this time, we were hovering right around 59%. So over the month of June, we're actually having more homes sell for above asking price than we did the previous month. So again, we're not going to see this hot housing market turn around anytime soon. There's going to be positive appreciation happening in the Orange County housing market for the foreseeable future. So speaking of the future, let's go over what to expect in July. So in a typical housing cycle, we usually see inventory peak for the year towards the end of July, early August. And over the last 2 years, it's been peaking closer to the end of August. And this year, I probably expect the same thing where we will see a gradual increase over the next couple weeks in the amount of inventory we see in the market, but it's not going to be significant because we really have been floating around that 2,300 number since April. So you really haven't seen inventory go up that dramatically. So I expect it to go up a little bit, but nothing that's going to really impact the housing market in terms of numbers. Now, when it comes to demand, typically during the middle of summer is when you start seeing demand drop because buyers are going on vacation, hanging out with family, going to the beach. They're not as concerned with home buying. So in a typical year, you usually see demand peak around April and then slowly head down over the summertime before it drops more dramatically as we head through fall. And we are seeing demand drop a little bit in the numbers right now in terms of looking at the average days it takes to sell a home, because at the beginning of June, it took about 39 days from when the seller placed their home on the market to when it went into escrow, and right now it's hovering around 43. Is that significant enough to make any difference in how the market feels on a day-to-day basis? No, but the numbers are starting to show that there is a slight dip and it takes a little bit longer to sell a home on average, but again, you wouldn't really know it if you were in the market at the beginning of the month versus right now because it feels about the same. And like I said earlier, we are still in a hot seller's market, especially for those price ranges at 1.5 million and below. Anything at that 1.5 million and below is typically taking 30 days or less to sell. Once you go above 1.5 million, so for instance 1.5 to 2 million, the days on market goes from about 31 to 51, so it jumps up by 20. That is still a seller's market, especially in that price range when typically you see it 3 months or more. So you're still going to get great offers on your home and sell it a lot faster than normal. However, things do start slowing down the higher price you go, and that's just typical of any housing market that we've ever been in. Now, probably the biggest question I get from both buyers and sellers right now is, what should I expect interest rates to do? So during the month of July, should I expect them to go up? Should I expect them to go down? Interest rates have been one of the hardest things to predict this year. So back in February, they got as low as going into the high 5% range, and then just a couple weeks ago, they were up above 7% again. So the nice thing about the month of June is we finally saw interest rates settle down, and they only varied a little bit. So they were going between 6.8% and 7% for most of the month. And so predictability is starting to be a little bit easier with interest rates. As long as we don't get any major upsets with any of the economic news or any world events, you can probably expect interest rates to stay around those ranges. So someplace in the high sixes is where interest rates are most likely to be for the month of July. So even though rates have stabilized, and it looks like over the month of July we should see that stabilization continue, as a buyer, I always recommend that you're never looking at what you think interest rates are going to do. You're always buying based on what you can afford now in today's market. So talk to a lender, get that pre-approval, and figure out, can I afford a home in the neighborhood that I want with the amenities that I want? And if you can, then by all means, go forward, start looking for a home. But if you're one of those buyers that are saying to yourself, I am not going to even look at the housing market until interest rates get to this predetermined number that I've made up in my head, you could be setting yourself up for failure for many reasons, which we'll go over in a little bit. Okay, so now let's go ahead and go over what my personal recommendations are for both buyers and sellers who are looking to enter the market either in July or August as we head through summer. So right now, let's start on the buying side first. So buyers, this first half of the year has been tough for you. Not only are interest rates still elevated, but we're seeing home prices go back up again month after month, making homes less and less affordable. And because inventory is so low, you might be willing and able to purchase a home, but you just can't find the right place for you, and so it's taking you weeks or even months to be able to get into that home that you want. So understandably, it could be very frustrating for buyers right now. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but for those buyers out there that can afford to purchase a home right now, but are sitting it out because they're waiting for interest rates to come down or hoping that home prices fall, I have some bad news for you. So on the supply side of things, unfortunately, you're just not going to see any relief on that anytime soon. So not only are we about to hit the seasonal high for supply, and supply should start falling as we head through the rest of the year, but because interest rates have shot up so significantly, there are a lot of homeowners out there that either purchased a home or refinanced a home during the COVID years at those 2, 3, 4% interest rates that might like to move and be able to move normally. However, when they go look at a house with rates almost at 7% now, even to move into a house that's the same price as theirs, they could be looking at double the mortgage payment. This is causing a lot of sellers to stay put, sit still, maybe do some renovations on their own home and not sell. And this is one of the major reasons why we're not seeing inventory go up like it should at this point, because it just doesn't make financial sense for a lot of sellers out there to put their house on the market and then go to a payment that's going to be double unless they absolutely have to because they're moving for a job, their household is expanding with more kids or relatives moving in. Unless there's a good reason for them to move, a lot of homeowners are sitting put and they're just not going to move until interest rates get lower. So on the inventory side of things, don't expect that to change anytime soon. Now on the interest rate side of things, the two most probable scenarios for interest rates for the remainder of the year is either one, they stay around the same as they are right now in the high sixes, and like we've talked about, even at that rate, home values are continuing to go up, or like a lot of economists predicting by the end of the year, you should see rates slowly continue to drop, which could actually be more of a disadvantage for buyers right now. So let me explain. Over the first half of this year, we've seen high interest rates. Every single week that we have interest rates high right now, as well as home values going up, you're having less and less buyers that want to purchase a home able to actually afford it. So this demand pool of buyers is getting bigger every single week that interest rates are high. So what do you think is going to happen if all of a sudden we do get a dramatic dip in interest rates? The floodgates are going to open. And again, we might see a few more sellers pop on the market if interest rates go down by a half or a full percent. But even if interest rates drop by a full percent, you're not going to see a flood of home buyers into the market because they're still going to have much better mortgage payments and a much better interest rate already locked in. So even though you might see supply go up slightly, if you see interest rates drop dramatically, you're going to have that flood of buyer demand into the market that have been hoping for rates to drop where they can afford something all at once, which means you're going to be competing with possibly 2 or 3 times as many buyers for the same home. And what do you think that's going to do to home prices? Home prices are going to go up faster than they are right now. So even though you might have gotten a lower interest rate, the problem then becomes, can you actually get into escrow on a home because there's so much competition, and how much over asking price are you going to have to pay to be able to get into escrow? So right now, if you're able to afford a home, there's no better time to start looking, because if you can identify and find that right home, get into escrow and close it, you not only got that home while home values are still on the rise, but if interest rates drop in the future, you can always refinance and reduce your monthly mortgage payment, but your house is locked in. So really, it doesn't make financial sense in most cases for buyers to wait and hope that interest rates go down, because the possible disadvantages are just too great at this point. So if you think you can afford a home and you want to find out, make sure you talk to a lender. It's completely free. They can get you that pre-approval and figure out exactly how much you qualify for, and then you can take that pre-approval and be ready. Maybe you're not purchasing a home right away, but maybe 3 or 4 weeks down the road, that perfect home does pop up, but you are ready, you have the pre-approval, you can place an offer on it and have a good chance of getting into escrow, versus if interest rates do go down and you have all that competition in the marketplace, you're going to have a much harder time getting that home of your dreams when there's going to be a lot more competition for it. Now sellers, yes, the market is currently favoring you. However, we're not like we were back in COVID times where you can take a few cell phone photos, place it on the MLS, and by that weekend you'd have 10 offers on the home, over asking price, and in escrow the next day. Right now, yes, we are in a seller's market. However, if your home is not marketed properly, priced properly, and it's not exposed to as many people as possible, it could still take you a while to sell your home, especially if you don't price it properly. So it's extremely important that when you price your home, you're looking at those comparable sales and not overpricing it to begin with, because those first 2 and 3 weeks are so critical on getting the best offer for your home. If you overprice it and then a couple weeks later have to reduce the price, the chances of you getting the best offer on your home go down dramatically. So make sure when you place your house on the market, you're doing the prep work. You're getting your house cleaned, you're getting your landscape upgraded, putting new mulch down, putting new plants down, pressure washing the driveway, the outside of the house, having a fresh coat of paint inside and outside definitely help as well. Those steps you take to get your house ready for sale are going to pay off dramatically when your home stands out over everybody else's in the neighborhood. You're going to get more eyeballs on it, more offers, and ultimately a better price for your home. Now, if you're selling a home and also buying a new one at the same time, you really need to make sure that you are completely comfortable with all the different contingencies that you can put in place to keep yourself protected. Because even though you can sell your home quickly, it might take you a couple weeks or a month or more to be able to find a new place. So if you don't have the properly written contract, when you go into escrow, you can end up selling your house and then have no place to go. So it's extremely important for sellers that are looking to purchase a home to make sure you talk to an agent. They walk you through all that process, how you keep yourself protected, all the different options that are available to you, so that way when the time comes, you can make a smart decision on which offer to accept to not only get you the best price, but also make sure you have the most flexibility to go out and find the next home of your dreams that you can move into without having all the stress of being on a timeline and not being able to move quick enough and then having to find some place to live on a very short notice. So make sure that you know all of those contingencies and timelines involved. And again, if you have a good real estate agent, all of this will be explained to you so you know all the options available to you. Now, speaking of, if you're thinking of buying or selling a home and have more questions about how to go about the process to successfully buy or sell a home in today's market, whether it's questions about your specific neighborhood, your home, what you need to be doing, what you need to be looking for when you're placing offers, if you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to click the link in the description below and you can set up a free 30-minute discovery call with me anytime that works for you, and we can go over your specific situation and I can give you some guidance on what might be the best steps for you. If you're watching this anywhere besides YouTube, it will either be in the comment section or you can find the link in my bio as well. It's all there. Schedule that free 30-minute conversation because I am passionate about helping people make a smart financial decision when it comes to buying or selling their home. So real quick, if you're enjoying this episode and again, you want to stay updated on what's happening in Yorba Linda, make sure you don't forget to hit that subscribe and follow button. And if you have any friends or family that would find this content useful, please consider sharing it as well. I would really appreciate it. So that's all I have for you today. So until next week, stay happy, stay healthy, and I'll see you on the next show. Bye, everybody.